Now, do you love absolutely wrecking cows? Do you like getting out there and hunting high runes and the bases to make those high rune words? Now, if so, I got the perfect build for you. That is the 0 Magic Find Lightning Fury Javazon. Now, what's the point of even running a 0 Magic Find Javazon anyways? Like, doesn't that make it harder to find those uniques that you really want? That is pretty much true. But having the 0 Magic Find will actually benefit you finding items that specifically online can be pretty valuable and pretty easy to trade. And then you can just, of course, trade up to those other uniques you want. And also, not worrying about stacking Magic Find, you can really just concentrate on clear speed, kill speed, and movement speed. So just super quick, kind of so everybody understands, the way that Magic Find works, when an item is chosen to drop off of a monster, it then has to decide whether it's going to be white, whether it's going to be one of the gray items that are like socketed or ethereal. It'll decide if it's a rare, set, or unique. The more Magic Find you have, the more likely it will be one of those ones that are the special colors, the green, the yellow, or the brownish gold. So if it has less of a chance of being one of those, then it has more chance of either being white or socketed, meaning it can be a rune word base, which I don't know if you knew this or not, rune words are highly sought after here in Diablo 2 Resurrected. So therefore, the bases that you need to put those rune words in also can be highly sought after if they're incredibly godly. Also, little known fact, rather than standard monsters, cows actually have a slightly higher chance of dropping high runes than, just say something like a Carver, for example. It's not quite as high as what Ghost is, but it is higher than normal monsters. And also, the cow level is just automatically has a ton of density. And the cow level, of course, just the normal cows, don't have any immunity, so you don't necessarily have to worry about having a Sunder Charm or something like that in your inventory. Of course, also, there are no ranged monsters in cows. So that's kind of the benefits to getting out there, hunting high runes, and looking for those rune word bases. So if there was any confusion on why you'd run a build like this, hopefully that cleared it up for you. But let's jump into the stats page now. Now, first of all, this is going to be just enough strength and dex to wear your gear, pretty standard for a lot of builds. You can see the dex is a lot higher. Javelins, depending on which ones you're using, can have a much higher dexterity requirement than a lot of other weapons in the game. So you got to get this up pretty high. We're at 176 on the strength, 189 total anyways on dexterity. And of course, like a ton, most really builds in Diablo 2 Resurrected, I went max Vita, so all the remaining points into vitality, nothing there into energy. And you can see the resistances are not great. It's kind of because when you're out running cows, which is kind of specifically what this is, it's very much a cow specialist. There are no real elemental attacks. The only thing is I got the lightning up a little bit higher on some charms, because when monsters are lightning enchanted, that lightning can come out and kind of scare you a little bit and make you have to run away. And if you have to run away to try to stay alive, it'll slow you down a bit. So very important part, we'll take a look at the advanced stat page real quick just to see what we end up with on all this gear. A ton of run walk speed, because having 0 Magic Find means you can't have teleport on an Amazon because you can't use Enigma. So we get the run walk speed pretty dang high. FCR doesn't matter. I got that just by accident, since we're not teleporting or casting anything. Plus minus lightning res. As I scroll slowly here, you can kind of see there is absolutely no Magic Find on this character. Now for the skill tree, you ignore the bow and crossbow skills. We're not using any of that on this particular build. And now over here on the passive magic, this is pretty much what I would recommend. Just get down 1 point from critical strike, penetrate, and down to pierce. And with just these plus skills, it's only to level 10. It's 71% chance. Now also I went 1-1-1 down the middle. These used to be like glitched back in the day, or they worked in a way that nobody really liked. They supposedly corrected this in Diablo 2 Resurrected, so these are pretty standard nowadays as just like kind of 1-point wonder situations on each of dodge, avoid, and evade. And actually, to be perfectly honest here, evade I didn't even put a hard point into, because I actually have evade on one of the pieces of gear that I'm using here. But if you don't get it on the piece of gear, if you swap something out, you're probably going to want to put 1 point into evade just to be safe. Now over on the javelin and spear skills, we're maxing out lightning fury. That's our main attack, and then it has all these different 1% synergies. Now the very next synergy you're probably going to want to max out is going to be the next skill that you use, and that is charge strike. Now on individual targets, this thing absolutely slaps. You can, if you have an absolute perfect Javazon with like the most damage you can do, even like players 8 Hell Bale, you can take out in like 4 or 5 hits with this. It's almost insane how much damage this can do to individual targets. After that, it's not really of huge consequence which one of these synergies you put your remaining points into. You usually aren't going to have enough points to go ahead and max them all out. So just pick whatever you want. I got 8 base points here into Lightning Strike. I went ahead and I got maxed out Lightning Bolt. I got Power Strike maxed out. So any remaining points that I get on this build, really, it's going to be down here into Lightning Strike, but I'm not going to end up really with enough to max it out anyways. Now, everyone's favorite, of course, Over here on the gear, I went with Titans right here. There's going to be a pretty obvious other choice, and I actually have it on swap right here. T-strokes. Depends what you want. I really like the advantage of having the Titans, even though this does absolutely deal more damage, but you already deal so much damage. It's like 2 javelins through a giant pack of cows, and they're all dead. I'm just player's 8 difficulty anyway, so I don't know that the little bit more damage you get from Thunderstrokes is going to matter relative to being over Titans. So I prefer the little bit of run walk speed and obviously the replenished quantity on Titans as well. Looking over at the shield. Now, if you can only get a spirit, by all means, use a spirit shield. It's a really good shield. I decided here to go with Redemption. This really keeps you alive all the time. It keeps your mana up all the time. So then we can concentrate even more on damage in other places. There are some other things that help you out on this, but really the mainest reason is, of course, that Redemption aura right there. Up on the top here, any Javazon, you know it, fellas, goes with the Griffin's Eye because of the minus lightning res and the plus lightning skills damage. Super obvious right there. Of course, if you're going for a more Magic Find variant, feel free to throw a Shaco on up there. And on the armor, I went with a semi-new anyways, new to D2R, rune word here with Hustle. It's because I wanted to specifically make this to have no Magic Find, so Enigma has Magic Find on it, of course. That way you'd get Walk, Run, Teleport, all these other things on Enigma, but specifically if you want to have no Magic Find, to have a better chance of finding godly bases for rune words out in cows, I decided to go with Hustle here. Bunch of increased attack speed, Walk, Run, and that's actually where we get the evade there. Does get a little res on there too. Up on the amulet, one with High Lords to get more attack speed. You could go with some sort of 2 to skill amulet up here. High Lords with the attack speed and the skill, I think is pretty cool. Over on the gloves, you probably want to have some 220 Javas. Unfortunately, it's pretty notorious on my channel, the bad luck I've had with Java gloves. Over 3 years, I have not found a single pair of 220 Java gloves on offline single player. I've found several, maybe even you could say many, online, but just randomness luck. Haven't found any good pair over here, and I tried shopping for a little bit, but I didn't want to waste too much time doing that, got bored. But now taking a look at the rings, I went with a BK for a skill and some life leech, just to leech back a little bit if you know, were in that instance where you needed to. We do have some life on there as well. And then I got Ravenfrost over here for cannot be frozen, of course. Now on the belt, here is Razor Tail. This gets you from the 70% pierce that you have in your skill tree. Now you're over 100%. I'm a big proponent of this. Now, it was pretty comparable, I would say, throwing on T-Gods at this point because you just deal so much damage and you already have 70% pierce. So T-Gods is completely viable option. Some people would even say that's better. Some people say this better. It's going to kind of depend. I don't think it really affected the kill speed that much, just from what I've seen anecdotally. Over on the boots here, we went with Alder's Advance, so we get as much run walk speed as we could. That's the 40% right there. And resistance is not particularly important, so tri-res boots. Out in cows, like I said, you're not getting cast on by different elements. It's pretty much just a walk, run, in the life, and that's pretty much all we're worried about here on the boots. Now down in the inventory here, we've got all skillers straight across. And because I went with no Magic Find, that's kind of the purpose. No Geeds down here, you see. But we have all of these skillers. We got Run Walk Charms down on the bottom. Generally, I would have Magic Find Charms down here, but we're switching it up for this build, of course. And a Torch and Annie for sure. Now, you may have noticed over on Swap, I actually don't even use Swap, so I could just take the Spirit Shield off. There really was no need to battle orders with this build because you just kill everything so fast. And the Redemption Aura on the Phoenix Shield just keeps you alive eternally almost. So it really is kind of even tough to die with only, you see right behind me, 1,500 life. It's really not even an issue. So I don't even use battle orders or anything. I just run around with the Phoenix Shield up all the time. And on Swap, I just don't even use it. And now for the Mercenary, I decided to go with the Cold Mercenary. Now, initially I had thought, hey, you know what? You don't want the bodies shattering because you want the redemption to be able to, you know, redeem all of the different corpses. So you don't want them shattering and disappearing. But what I kind of found out is even having one of the other mercenaries, the Holy Freeze would keep the mercenary alive a lot better. Even with crazy good gear, well, pretty good gear anyways, Fortitude and Darrell's Visage would be my choice here over on a mercenary. And with an Infinity here, if he doesn't have the Holy Freeze aura, probably once every run he would get chopped down by some random champion pack that was Fanaticized, Curse, blah, 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 name a bunch of random different auras and stuff it had that would chop him right down. But with the Holy Freeze aura, it actually kept him alive the best, so I decided to switch back to it. So I kind of hovered over it already. We got Infinity for increased damage. Now you may need to have an Insight over here if you don't have a Phoenix Shield to kind of keep your mana up, or if you don't have enough Life Leech, or if you, maybe you could just be chugging potions for days. But I wouldn't blame you if you did have an Insight over here. But getting more damage from the Infinity from that Conviction aura, I definitely wanted to get it. And Darrell's Visage, pretty standard for the greatest thing you can get up here for an Act 2 Mercenary, and a Fortitude, of course. Went and grabbed the leg. You didn't really need to see that, but let's go ahead and open this cow level and show you how much this thing slaps. Now, You don't have to worry about battle ordering up when you run out into the cow level, of course, with this particular build the way it is. But there you see 2, 3 javelins, and boom, almost everything's wrecked down. You can either skip individual cows if you want to, depending on how you want to run it with efficiency-wise. I'm kind of just a stickler for, you know, if I see a living demon or zombie or something, I just got to take it out. But technically for efficiency, you kind of just throw a few javelins and kind of move on. It's going to be all up to you on how you prefer to play. But if you want to take out everything, you throw a few jabs like this, and then you stab with power strike right here. Charge strike, excuse me. And you can see how fast it kills this stuff, really. And then you can just clear everything and move on to the next pack of cows. Next herd, I guess. So you run past, throw, everything's down there. Throw, and chop. So you can see how fast, and this isn't, don't think I'm out here on players 1 showing you how ferocious this is. There are instances in Diablo 2 Resurrected, I highly recommend you only run on players 1. It is definitely even most efficient to run on players 1. But cows, you probably want to do on higher players count if you can. And this right here is players 7 difficulty. So it's essentially as hard as the cows can get. This is as hard as it goes, fellas. You can see how easy it is, and even without using battle orders, you don't really have any issues with survivability right here. You can see you kill everything so fast, and with Redemption Aura on the Phoenix Shield, excuse me, man, this thing is like unlimited power. All right, we got one more huge herd of cows here, and whoop, there they go. Now, I was standing around for a while trying to get them herded together. So you see the mercenary actually took quite a bit of a hit there, but man, just look at the amount of damage you get from that Lightning Fury Javazon. Now, even if you don't have a crazy expensive rune word like Phoenix, even a budget Javazon can absolutely wreck cows. I have those type of videos on my channel as well, along with other endgame versions of Javazon, ones that kind of utilize a more standard, reasonable amount of magic find using something like the Enigma. Check this video right up over here. The YouTube algorithm knows you're going to like it, or check out this playlist right down here if you love SweetPhil drop highlights. Peace out, fellas, and keep slaying.